Speaking of videos, okay, we're going to pretend. Did you tell me when? No, hold on. What we're going to do is everybody start laughing really loud when he says go, like I just told a really funny joke. We're rolling now? Well, now you blew my whole plan. Great. All right. This is how to run an open source hardware company with Lady Ada and Philip Tyrone of Make Magazine. I don't know if you have picked up a copy of this, but it's a fantastic magazine. I like to call it things I wish I could be doing instead of going to work. There's some fantastic projects in there. But let's give these guys a round of applause.
Okay, thank you for coming out this early morning. That's a good sign. The challenge of business is most of the time just showing up. That's our talk. Goodbye. No. I'm Phil Tyrone. I'm creative director of Adafruit Industries, and I'm also senior editor of Make Magazine.
I'm Limor Freed, also known as Lady Ada, and I'm the owner and engineer at Adafruit Industries, where we make open source hardware and sell it.
And so today, our talk is going to be about how to run an open source hardware business. And we're going to, the phrase is like lift a kimono or whatever. We're going to show you from kind of start or top to bottom how we run a company. We're also going to talk a little bit about open source hardware. How many people here do electronics or build kits? Well, do some clapping so they can hear it on the video too. Yeah. Okay, great. That's good. And how many of you have either bought or are aware of open source hardware? A little bit of, okay, all right. This is a good crowd. It's going to be pretty easy. So first, what we always like to do is start out and talk about what open source hardware is. And the big announcement that happened like 48 hours ago is we have an open source hardware definition. So just like there was an open source software definition that everyone agreed on, we're getting close to that with open source hardware. So the definition is now at 0.3. And in September, there is a Maker Faire New York City at the World's Fairground. We're taking over the World's Fairground just like people used to in like the 30s when we had video phones. We got video phones again. Sometimes they work. We're going to make the final like 1.0 announcement there. And then after that, you'll see licenses. And that's one of the things that we'll talk about in a bit. But we like to talk about open source hardware in kind of 3 chunks. And Limor's going to talk about that now. And this is basically what it is as far as a designer and a manufacturer is concerned.
We're just going to go quickly over like what open source hardware is. Open source hardware, I mean, I'm sure all you guys know what open source software is, right? You're here at this Hacker Conference. And basically, open source hardware is very similar. There are a couple legal differences about, patents versus copyrights and, mask rights and stuff. But for the most part, the idea is